Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Wayne O'Toole Show, episode 3. For tonight's show, we have Wade McNeil from Wade McNeil Electric, W. McNeil Electric. Sorry about that. He's coming here today to chat about solar. His crew saved my solar build. I don't have any problem admitting that because it was a long journey for me. There was a lot of struggles and a lot of challenges, but because of Wade's crew, it's operating fantastically. So let's bring Wade on.
Hi, Wayne. How are you?
Good. How you doing, Wade?
Good. Yeah.
So people probably know I've never met you before. I've met your guys. You and I've talked a few times on the phone and stuff. But you guys, as I just said in my intro there, you guys saved my solar project. There's no doubt about that.
It's kind of one of those weird things, people invest in something like solar, and a lot of times what happens is maybe not familiar that somebody local can do the installs.
That's right.
And so what happens is I've been here for 47 years, so I'm going to be here hopefully for another 47. I don't know, but
there you go. Right.
One of the things that I find is when you get dealing with other companies, it's great for the install originally. But what happens in your case where you have an issue, to get somebody to come back. So, we were glad to go in because, it's just we were happy that somebody local is interested in solar because, it works. It's amazing.
Oh, for sure. Like I tell people all the time, but the cost, like my cost per kilowatt hour locked in is 8 cents for the next 25 years. And payment wise, it's like not an equal whatever. But I mean, Nova Scotia Power is 16 point something now and increasing. So there was no real, my payments are $28 more than my power bill was.
And I mean it's only going to be exponential, with the increase.
Exactly. Right.
Power. So exactly. And I always say it's kind of like different phases, as you move through. So some people, they will switch over and get electric heat, and then they'll move into like a heat pump. Maybe that's like sort of one phase. And then, into the solar. But soon I feel like everybody's going to be involved with the EV chargers as well. So, when people say kind of like, what's the return on investment? The return on investment can be really huge because now we have heat and lights and basically fuel for your vehicle.
Yeah, that's right. And some of these new EVs they go a long distance like that. I think on Musk's new Cybertruck that's going out is like 600 miles, not kilometers, miles.
Yeah,
right?
miles.
That's a big distance. You could go to Halifax and charge in Halifax and come home, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's pretty cool. We're pretty passionate about anything that involves renewable energies. We've been sort of doing it for a long time. We're really the only, that you mentioned about Tesla, but we're local Tesla installers.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So if you go onto the website and you check out like who's the local Tesla installer for Sydney Mines, the Waterford, Glace Bay areas, we're the only local company that would be listed there. So, we've kind of, we really enjoy the whole process with this. It's really amazing. I don't know if you kind of felt the same thing, but like for us, every time that we put something onto the roof and we're literally generating power.
Yeah, right.
It's pretty amazing, and you
see when Eric was here doing the whole install and stuff, right? And I had the issue with the original was there was a faulty inverter, so we couldn't produce. Right, we were getting it from the panels, but it wasn't coming to the house. And then you get frustrated, you know what I mean? You're like, oh crap! Yeah. And then, but I mean, Eric worked, and then the day I turned it on and was like, look at it go! Right? It's like you get excited. I watch mine. Like, I call it Sun Worship 2000 and 2020, right?
So some of the cool things about it, I find, is like once you have that, then you really become aware of your consumption. So like you're making better choices. And, if you're going to buy two things, you would sort of look like, okay, what is going to be more efficient? And so it kind of changes your whole life and the whole process. And I think, once we get enough people involved in the process around here, I think it can make a huge difference,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, were you aware of Nova Scotia's community building projects that they had where they were doing for charities and stuff?
Yeah.
I don't know why it came right. And besides CBU got involved, but I was thinking like, why didn't everybody here, every church, every organization should have applied for that, right? Because it's it was like you get, I think the highest that Nova Scotia Power is paying is 33 cents a kilowatt. for people to produce this,
Right.
which is like,
Yeah.
you're making profit right off the bat. So
Yeah, that's huge.
yeah. Oh, for
So
sure.
I think the big thing is like, a lot of times people around here, they have like well, we live in a cold weather environment, so it won't work. And
Yeah,
because we
right.
didn't see it around very often,
Yeah.
that people aren't kind of willing to take that risk because, it is a big, investment, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's sort of, the whole part of it is that people aren't really aware of how well that it works.
Well, maybe after this they will be, right? Because that's part of one of the biggest things I kind of try to do here is like you don't like you have to own a system to realize. Like June, I was supposed to produce with my system. I think the graph they gave me in the beginning was 757. Sorry, May 757 kilowatts or something like that. I got 8 something, right?
Yeah.
So right off the bat, and then my usage has gone way down. Like it's because I'm like, oh, I better turn that light off now because I'm not really, you know what I mean? And then you'll see the difference in your bill. Like I think I'm going to have a pretty good credit next year. I guess about $500 to $800.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like most people will, and it's that whole education piece as it comes in. You really become aware.
Right?
Make sure, like, let's turn the lights up. Let's move all to LED lights. Let's do whatever it takes to lower.
Which the LED lights, guys? If anybody doesn't know this, that's free through Efficiency Nova Scotia. You get free LED lights. Like they'll come as long as you got the old bulbs in, though. So.
Right.
Not that I'm advising against doing this, but if you're going to call them up, just go to the dollar store and buy a bunch of the old bulb styles and put them all in. Which is what really though, because I mean it's a good program. You get all free LEDs, right?
Yes, yeah. I guess that's a little loophole. I guess there.
Well, it is. Yeah, they don't care. I mean, they come and look at the bulb and they have to take it back, right? So because I know I had a few here when I got mine done years ago that were the twisties, the fluorescents.
The compact fluorescent.
Yeah, and they wouldn't replace those because they were considered efficient, right? So
I
took them all out and put them away, and I got the new ones, right? Because LED made a big difference in my power bill.
Like big time, for sure.
Yeah,
like all of those little things help, and even I find like the main thing here, obviously, in Canada and in Cape Breton is heating costs.
Yeah.
So it seems like some months or some years rather we have like 10 months worth of heating.
Yeah, that's right.
That kind of comes in, and then the other 2 months are cooling. So we kind of never really get a break on that part. But it works. It really works amazing. That's sort of the cool thing. So even though originally we weren't involved with the install with you, I didn't want to not help out because I didn't want you to say, well, solar doesn't work. And all the people that come around. And so I felt like there's somebody who's going to take a chance locally. Let's make this work for them.
Yeah, right on. So, I mean, you guys. I mean, Eric rewired the roof. He did put the inverter on twice. He had to put the second one on. I mean, he went through that system like I know Frankensolar. I have no issue with Frankensolar, the distributor. They did me good because of all, and even in financial, I did get some financial gain because of the issues that happened. So my system came in at 13,000. After rebates and all the the stuff they gave me and stuff for almost $14,000, which was fantastic for a 5.5 kilowatt. Kilowatt. It's a good system, right? And battery ready.
Sure.
Ours is battery ready because those inverters they're complicated. Eric will tell me that's for sure. But once you get them going, they're real good systems, right?
Well, I think that's the major component with putting that in with the whole string is that. Those inverters, they're ready. So once you want to move into the next step of being able to have some storage capacity.
Right.
It's simple. It's like a simple install that can just go and basically within an hour we could have you up and ready for the storage capacity. So.
And the batteries are getting cheaper. The batteries are definitely getting cheaper, which is good because I wouldn't mind even having an emergency setup just for when the power goes out, right? Because people don't realize too when you have solar, when you're net tied or grid tied on the net meter program, when the power goes out in the street, the power goes out in your house. You don't get, even if the sun's up because they can't leave my power run to the wires, and the power guy goes out and he touches the wire, and I'm going to zap the guy with sometimes 400 volts, right?
So sometimes that's one of the biggest misconceptions. Is that people think that you would have emergency power, that as long as the sun is up, that you would have it, but that's not the case because of safety features, right?
Exactly.
So, they have a rapid shutdown, and it's called anti-islanding. So what happens is basically you're producing your own generation system.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it would go back to the grid, and you don't know who would be working around it and stuff. But there are different things that you could do.
Well, generator. I could do a generator.
You could put a generator in. You could put battery storage in. And they're all great options.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if it's only for emergency. Like we'd only need our heat system and our lights. That's it. The rest in the fridge. The rest we don't really care about the rest, right? We're not going to do laundry when the power's out, or you're not going to do, like maybe the computer, somewhere to plug in the computer.
I was just going to say one of the biggest things now that we have for the emergency that people usually say are Wi-Fi. Can we get the Wi-Fi set up now? So it used to be the first thing would be can we have the sump pump? Can we get the furnace? And now everybody's like, can we have
they want the Wi-Fi? Yeah. Well, you get your phone, your computer, your laptop. If you got a little USB charger, you can plug your laptop in. And I mean, those little batteries are good for those little storage units for keeping those going. But if you had batteries on your system though, and if they come down in price, I'm definitely going there. There's no doubt.
I think it's like anything, Wayne, when technology first comes out, like even the solar originally, for the same size in the location, it would be like 100 watts per panel. And now you're getting almost 400 watts a panel.
Yeah, that's right. Ours are 375s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, 370 plus the boost from the
optimizer.
Right. Yeah. So 375 each. Yeah. No, you're right. 100 watt panels. You'd have to fill your roof and the neighbors too, right? It's like.
And so that's some of the things that we're seeing. It's like I always say, I think when I first bought a VCR, I think I paid $1,000 for it.
Yeah, that's right. I remember
so many years ago. Yeah, it had the little port going.
Big old clunky, huge VCRs back then. I remember my dad with the what was the little thing that turned the picture funny? Oh, the little control knob, and you'd be off, and you'd have to adjust it for each movie. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was talking about Ataris last time. Now we're talking about VCRs.
VCRs, it's going old school.
Yeah, that's right.
I think that you're going to see a huge difference in the next little bit, and it works so well in Nova Scotia. Like that's the biggest thing, like right now, if you consider everybody, when they kind of think about solar, they'll think of, like places like Germany.
Yeah.
And so, Germany, they've been really pushing a lot of solar. And they only get 2/3 of the sun that we get.
Yeah, people don't realize that Nova Scotia is in a good sunspot. It's not like California, or or Australia, but it's in a decent sunspot. Like we produce, I know the system's weird because I had to figure that one out on my own too. You got to learn,
right?
Like my system's 5.55, but on my graph it never shows it because there's something to do with efficiency there. And anyway, But I mean, like over the day, I can see like a day like today, I've got pretty much 4 solid hours of 5 kilowatts. You know what I mean? And plus I start producing at like 5:30 in the morning if it's sunny out. You get little trickles, but you can watch that graph go up and then back down again. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, for sure.
It's super cool, right? And so I mean that's some of the things that I feel is like as it goes in and people start getting it, like now you're saying how well it works. Finally, kind of for you, but like originally. People were afraid to take that risk. And
exactly.
What I'm saying is I don't feel like it's a risk. I feel like it's a really good investment. I mean, where can you get something that you can invest in? It's good for 25 years. And
more. They say more now. They're getting close to 40, the new panels, right? You start degrading in power a bit, but they'll still run.
Yeah, exactly. So they'll say usually 25 years will be within the 90% range.
Right.
But like some panels that have been installed, the first ones that were up there, they're up for 50 years.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and they're still producing at about 60%. Yeah. So I mean that's a great investment, and it's
well, I tell people afterwards too, Wade, it's like if you're replacing your system, normally the roof racks are going to be fine. You're going to do your roof anyway. You're going to have to take your roof off anyway, because in that amount of time, I have a shingle, so they're going to have to come off anyway. So then you're going to have to buy your panels, but the wiring's all there, right? Like everything's all set up. It's set up to your panel. So the next install would be an inverter and panels, right? So it's a lot cheaper. You know what I mean? It's just hook them up, plug and play. So not that I do it myself, because I like having somebody that's professional to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Plus you don't get the rebates. So
you don't get the rebate,
right?
And so I mean that's the great thing right now. We still do have rebates through efficiency.
Yeah, what are they at now?
It's at 60 cents.
It's still pretty good then, yeah.
So it's about $6,000 on a 10K system.
Right.
Which is pretty good. And people are saying, well, why are they lowering it? It's just originally there was a pot of money that they had that was allotted for, the rebates. And then they said, well, in order to reach more people, they sort of had to lower it down. So,
yeah, right.
Eventually,
I signed on as soon as they come on. I went online. I was like, I'm getting in this because 100% is going to go away. And sure enough, by the time mine got installed, it was at 80, but I still got the 100 because we were signed on early, right? So yeah. And I mean we got 5,500 on a 5.55 kilowatt system, which like good chunk. It was a good chunk.
And the funny part is, I don't know, you probably noticed because you're there all the time, but we were doing a job that was on Forest Street. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say, but and as we went by, we were looking at it, we're like, oh, that's pretty cool, and talking to the different neighbors and stuff, and they're saying like, hey, look at that, like.
My neighbors are always asking, like, how's it working? What, like, is it good? You know what I mean? Because they're all like, it looks okay. They said it looks like you're high tech, in the old house.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
The solar system almost costs as much as my house. Because when I got my house in 2012, I got it for little over 26,000.
Yeah, I think
what I mean?
Today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's it's literally amazing. It works so well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. What would be your advice to somebody new? If you were you were just chatting with somebody and they're like, "Hey, Wade, you know what? I'm thinking about installing a solar system. You know what I mean? Like, what do I do?"
Well, I get excited, when everybody's sort of interested in solar. Like everybody wants to know. It's kind of like the buzzwords around. I like to get solar in my house. The biggest thing that I would say to people are there. Make sure that you get a qualified installer.
Yeah.
Make sure you get somebody that's local. Make sure, kind of do your homework a little bit on that. I've gone through and I've talked with some people like Efficiency and Solar Nova Scotia. They put on community clinics, kind of.
Oh,
like
I saw some
awareness, presentations. Mm-hmm. So Eric and I we've gone to quite a few of them locally. Just to have a conversation, because anytime you can talk about solar, that's what we like to do. So. We've gone through and had some really good conversations. So that would be, the first thing is kind of like, do your research on there. You have to be sort of careful because even, like some of the people who had been installing yours originally, they were all on those lists as well.
Yeah, they were.
So how would you know, really? I mean, as it comes in. So, and have a conversation. I think, if people, all I need is your power bill, basically. If I had the power bill, that tells me what your yearly consumption would be.
Yeah,
it tells me
you're not allowed to go too far over the yearly. That's what they told me too with the net metering.
Right.
Like, so they don't want you to really overproduce, but if you do, they'll pay you. But
yeah. So they usually say it's like 10% is what.
Oh, is that what it is?
Over.
Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
So once you get the through the whole net metering, there's a whole process that has to happen originally with that. So if somebody's interested in solar, the first thing I say is like call us and let us have a conversation with it, because there's a difference between, are you interested in solar and how it works, or are you interested in installing solar?
Right.
Because that's two different things.
That's right. That's right, for sure, right? That's what these shows are going to, part of that part is, to say, look, guys, like, it's not what you think it is. Like, if you think negatively of it, it's not a negative thing at all, right? I mean, you can make a few bucks and not pay a power bill. So
I mean, and you're doing the right thing. I mean, you're reducing the greenhouse emissions, and but one of the biggest things I find is just have a good conversation with somebody, and you'll know what it's about. And then if somebody was interested and they called us and we said, okay, what we should do, send me your power bill. I will take a look at your consumption, because one of the things with solar is that each system is customized.
Oh yeah, for sure. Which way your roof faces, what the angle your roof is. There's a whole lot. Like I've noticed, when you guys done mine, I'm the forestry guy. But the top panels are on a good angle, and I got a good south facing roof, but that other roof has got a low pitch on it. So in the winter, I didn't do as well. But now the summer's here, those are nailing out power like crazy because they're hitting directly down, right? So I mean, you don't realize that stuff. Angle of the panels, the side of your roof, like you need south, but you don't need south. But It makes it
like
a lot better the more.
well, yeah, exactly. You
Yeah.
can do east-west, and with an east-west, you're probably going to be about 80 to 85%
Yeah, that's
of
right.
what you would have.
Exactly. Yeah.
So people say, like, what are some of the factors, that affect solar? And of course, the location, like we talked about, the size of
Yeah,
the
that's right.
itself. But you can reach net zero. So one of the things, with net zero means that whatever your consumption is, you can put a system in that will cover all of the credits for that. And
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
so
I know somebody told me about if I had wanted to put a heat pump in, I could have contacted Nova Scotia. I still can actually afterwards and contact and say, well, I've got a 5.5, but I'm putting a heat pump in, so I'm going to need,
Right.
whatever, it cost me a bit because I need
and I think that EV charger thing is going to be one of the causes of that too. I think that that's going to be the increase in that. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that too. We've gone through, and we're sort of as they say, like Eric and I were committed to lifelong learning. We've been, every time there's a course that comes up with renewable energies and different things, we've been taking it and getting involved and trying to bring it here because
I know that with Eric because we had good conversations. Like I was out in the step and talking to him, and he'd be like, "Look, we're learning just as much as you are, right? Like this is not a system we've done before." So, but he learned it all, and he was here. I don't know how many times he was here. Holy cow! Yeah, getting all that work fixed. I mean, he took the panels off multiple times, rewired the whole system. Put the new inverter on. That was a lot of work, right?
Yeah. Well, it's one of it's one of those things that when it comes in, it does have to go through Nova Scotia Power.
That's
right.
You
do have to pull a permit. There is inspections.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully everybody will get their install and it will be done properly. At least we know electrically it will be because of the fact that it has to be inspected.
Right.
Because by the local supply authority, which is Nova Scotia Power.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess as it comes in, we get the power bill, and then there's a whole design, a whole customizable design feature that has to happen, and then you figure out what you want, and then we get a hold of manufacturer, like you mentioned, like Franken Solar, and we say, okay, these are what we need. This is the system size, and these are the rails and all the different things and the components. And then, we would send off just an estimate. And that estimate, people would say, okay, that's pretty good price. Now what? And then now the documentation begins.
Oh yeah, and it's a long process. People, you have to realize that I couldn't call Wade up like tomorrow and say, look, Wade, can you come here Thursday and hook up my solar? Because you got to go through one holy ton of paperwork and forms and signatures, and it was crazy.
Well, because it is a contract that you're really signing up with the net metering. So one of the things with net metering, I don't know, maybe not everybody understands what net metering really means. They call it enhanced net metering, but it's basically they will come in and put a bi-directional meter, which sort of means when we put the system on the roof or on the ground mount, and then we have the bi-directional meter, it spins backwards, and so you would get a credit on your power. So, that's one of the big things people say, well, how does that work? Well, that's really how it works. But there's a whole process that has to go with that, which would be a lot of documentation and they check everything. So even though I check it, as a designer and an installer, and then I send it to the manufacturer, they have designers that check it.
Exactly.
And then I send it to Nova Scotia Power, and then they check the design, and then efficiency checks the design.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a big process. So it takes a little while. Even the rebate, let everybody know, if you get the rebate, don't expect it back. There's a process. So I think mine I think the rebate was filed for in late December and we got it in March, which wasn't too bad. I didn't find that too bad for a rebate because I've got to process it too and check the paperwork and
right.
So, I get that, I get that side of it. So,
and especially now, with the COVID restrictions that we had, people are working from home a little more at efficiency in Nova Scotia Power, and even sometimes to get some supplies. So one of the things that I find here in Cape Breton that we have that's unique, say for the rest of Nova Scotia, sometimes is the delivery of material.
Yeah, that's right.
We're
at the end of the earth, right? Well, Newfoundland's a little farther away, but we're pretty far out there. So, yeah.
So that's sort of that will also increase the delay in it, but but it's worth the wait. It
Oh
really is.
yeah, and I mean
You know,
overall, you're talking. I'd say you're talking if everything went perfectly well, 5 or 6 months. You know what I mean? It's not end
yeah,
all be all. If the paperwork all goes in and everything's all stamped and dotted and crossed and and all, everything's good. They'll just stamp it and send it on, and then sometimes you wait a bit for the inspector from Nova Scotia Power, but it's never.
right.
You're
Yeah.
talking a week maybe or something. It's never too long. They're pretty good.
And I mean, really, like it's such a big investment. Like, okay, initially it's a lot of cost up front, and it does take a bit of time and effort to get it installed. But here you have a system that's going to produce exactly what it says it will for 25 years.
Yeah, that's right. And anybody that
So,
anybody that doesn't have a south facing roof too, you can buy racking and put it in your yard if you got a good spot in your yard somewhere that's perfectly set. It doesn't have to go on your roof either, right? I don't want
yeah,
to freak
exactly.
people out and say, "Oh, I only got north facing." You know what I mean? It's like, well, of course, if you got a north, you got a south though. So
Yes, exactly.
yeah.
You know what? Some of the interesting things, Wayne, are people who are getting ready to build now. And
Yeah.
so I've had people that say, hey, I'm interested in building a home. Can you take a look at the plans and say, maybe for the layout, and what if I change the roof because I'd be interested in solar? So
Yeah.
it's like that whole concept that's happening now is that people are becoming more aware
Yeah.
of, the possibilities of solar. So,
Yeah.
but
Well,
yeah,
there's the time to do it in a new build because you're wiring anyway, right? So you
right,
can get it. You'd have it like it just cost you, some percentage less because you're doing most of the work anyway. You're just adding a new system on the top of it. So
right.
then you'd have an open roof. You could, holy cow, you could do whatever you wanted if you had a brand new house. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to make my roof longer and put an overhang so I can get more solar panels. So I can do a
Yeah.
heat pump and a EV charging
Yes.
station. Like, really, right?
Yeah.
Heat pump, I think, is if I could, heat pump would be my next one. I'm going to watch the rebates and check them out and see price wise because
Yeah.
if
I
I'm going
think,
to produce that much extra on my power, there's no point in not having a heat pump.
well, I
Yeah.
mean, it's really, they work really well too. That's
Mm-hmm.
one of the best things,
Mm-hmm.
when you go in the different phases. And I think, as people start to realize, like, not only am I doing, what is good for the environment and, all of that kind of stuff, it's the savings,
Yeah, that's right. It's right. It is the
Yeah.
savings. That's one of the whole purposes. I'm a green guy anyway. I'm an
Yes.
environmental guy, so I do that stuff too. But like doing the system though, if I didn't do it until I could actually see, oh, I'm going to save. Like they sent me that sheet and said I'm going to save like
Yeah.
$22,987 in 25 years, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't beat that. Like that's crazy,
No.
and that's not taking into account all of Nova Scotia Power's increases coming either. We don't know where,
Right.
1.5% per year, and
Yeah.
it just makes a big difference in the end. So yeah, like it'll save you money in the end for sure. And I took mine out over a shorter loan too. You can do it you can put it on your house as a line of credit, HELOC, and over 25 years, the life of the system, and you can actually pay less than your power bill was.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I took mine out shorter because I want to do the little bit up the front end and pay a little bit extra and save on the other end, right? But
Yeah.
you can do it the opposite way, and then it's just like paying your power bill, but your power bill never goes up. It's like the same power bill every month, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you'll still have to, even if you reach net zero, you'll still have to pay for the interconnection fees that they
Right.
have.
Yeah. That's like
So it's like $10.
Yeah. Exactly.
So on your bill you'll get like $20, but I mean you could still have that could still be a credit if you're at the net zero.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So one of the good things that we talked about sort of with the ground mount is that you can make sure that you absolutely reach net zero.
Well, yeah, because you can control the angles on some of them, and yeah, you can if you really want to get out and work with them, you can brush this. That's the other thing. Snow, like if you have my flat one, winter, when it snows, you're done for a couple of days. Unless I'm getting a ladder, but I'm not, like I produce enough in the summer. I'm not worried about the winter, right?
No, that's the case for usually most of them. And when you look at the system there, you said, well, I was surprised that it actually produced a lot more than what originally had been mentioned. But everybody when you do your numbers, you're sort of really cautious with the numbers anyway.
Yeah, right. Because you don't want
so that you'll reach the targets. Yeah, because you don't know because we're trying to we can go through and assume by looking at the patterns that had been in the past, but we're trying to add in how many days would be extremely cloudy and different things like that. But usually I know like when I do them, we kind of stay conservative. And then people will be, pleasantly surprised when it comes out and you say, wow, like this is cooking in the springtime, especially, right?
Yeah.
I think like May, April, May, and June are probably the three best months that people have because once you get into July and August, a lot of increased loads happen because of air conditioning and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So,
exactly. You use more. You're producing, but you're using it too. That makes sense.
right.
Yeah. We haven't put our air conditioner in yet, but it's got to go in soon. It's getting pretty warm.
Yeah. Hopefully, I mean, if we eventually we will get summer. I'm hoping.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I was out this morning. It was really nice out this morning, and then I just took my son out to Winnie's Wagon out in Bedore. He wanted to get a burger out there, and I got home and I went to tarp my lawnmower. I was putting the tarp over in case the rain. Oh, the thing was blowing, and I was like, "Holy cow!" It was nuts.
Yeah.
The nights, I don't know what it is now. 10 degrees? It was like 17 today, but it's 10 degrees at night. It's really nice, right? Not for June. Holy cow!
Yeah.
It is Cape Breton. Same as cloudy days. You're predicting cloudy days, but in Cape Breton, you can't predict cloudy days and sunny days, right?
No, exactly. And I mean, the other thing is, with the solar is that people are concerned about cold, but really, the system works better in colder temperatures.
Yeah, that's for
so
sure.
That's one of the neatest things because we don't have any voltage drop to worry about, right? In the cold weather. So it does work. There's certain things, you can get like a snow rake and whatever. But one of the cool things are if you're checking the monitoring system, you can see when it starts to decrease, and then you'll say, maybe I'll go out and clean the snow off a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. You could do that. No, yeah, my little roof on the side, I could have done that, no problem. But I'm not getting up on the ladder. I produce too much, so it's not, Nova Scotia at some point it's going to say, "Look, Wayne, you're producing too much. Like, we're not allowed." You know what I mean? Because I don't know if they have limits, but I'm sure they do. They must have some kind of limit on.
Yeah, but I think it should be set up. Yours is sort of a unique for us, even because we weren't really involved in the design process.
Where, right.
Where we just kind of went in and basically took whatever had been installed and did it again.
Yeah, fixed it.
And fixed it. Yeah. So, that's, but normally, we would know exactly, what everything would be, because it's like I say, it's all customized, and we would be the designer. So.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I couldn't fit any more on my roof anyway. I think maybe one. I don't think I could fit any more.
Yeah, you're pretty maxed out.
Yeah, but I mean, we don't use a lot of power either because my usage has actually gone for June, for example, or May, for example. I keep saying June. May, for example, we produced 3 times what we used.
Right.
Because we cut everything. I cut everything down. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you still have my furnace and my fridge. They don't. They're the same. But you turn off lights. I mean, even the LED lights. I mean, I go on now. It's like, I don't want to leave that anymore. Turn the bathroom fan off instead of just leaving it on. You know what I mean? Things like that. Just save little bits. But when you tally them up over a month, they add up pretty good, right?
And I mean, when you think about it, you were probably home more often, recently than you would be typically, because everyone's sort of under the quarantine. And so if you look at the system now and it was still working really well, imagine say next year, when there's going to be a lot more times that you're not even going to be home. People say they go on vacation and your home is making you money, literally.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Right. Because you can just turn everything except for the fridge and the, whatever heating system, you could turn everything off on the fuse panel if you wanted to. And then you're just running it wouldn't be a furnace because if it was hot enough, you're not going to need a furnace running, but yeah, that's right. I never even thought of that. That's a good point though. If we ever go places where they just shut off everything and come back and shut everything back on, and except for the main things. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I'd be curious. Have you guys installed any EV stations yet, or no? Not up to that point yet.
Yes. Yeah. We have gone through and put a few in. Mostly like what happens, not really locally here, but we've sort of been involved with a network that, they do a lot of EV charging and stuff. And so we will get calls and they will say, typically in around like the Pictou area. And I mean, we've done a few solar installs there as well.
Rock Cove, you did a big one up there? Was it Rock Cove?
We did one up in it wasn't Rock Cove. It was up by Pleasant Bay.
Oh, okay. And is that the one he said it wasn't the type of inverter I have yet? It was like a
that was totally off grid.
Right. Oh, off grid. Okay. Yeah, that's a whole different system altogether. That's a whole
that's a whole different.
Yeah. Because I didn't realize too. I was on the solar group, I tell you, and I was like, "You tell you what you learn," because I'm on the solar group, Solar Discussions Nova Scotia. I think it is. I think they're probably watching. And I asked one day, I'm like, like the panels, like, I'm not producing enough. And then they told me, well, you are, but they divide it out over a longer period so you get better efficiency. And it's like, well, crap, I didn't know that. You know what I mean? Or you ask another question and they're like, people are right there to say, hey, off grid, I didn't realize you put the panels flat on the off grids because in the winter, that's your best sun. The better the angle, right? So I wouldn't have thought of that. I was just thinking all the angles are better, but the snow falls off when they're flat like that too. So yeah, it's great that there's a lot of people into this now. That if you're not in that group, you should be. The solar discussions,
right?
Because everybody, there's installers in there. There's people from Solar Nova Scotia, you know what I mean? And they're all just chatting. People, I mean, I'm sure I made a fool of myself plenty of times by like, well, I'm not producing right, and they're like, no, that's not it. You know what I mean? But you just get curious. Yeah, like it's like what? Same as my power bill. I can't figure out. Maybe you can help me with that one. I got my power bill for June for the 2 months, and it's like it says. On the top, it shows what I produced and what I used, right? And it was like double, I think, or no, triple, whatever it was. It was double because it was over 2 months. And then on the bottom, though, it said like a 71 kilowatt credit, then a 370. They just they didn't give me any credit. It was 375 and 371 and 371. So, but I don't know. I sent them an email. Maybe it's somewhere else on the bill because their bills are confusing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I thought it would be like, okay, you produced 371 or you produced last month would have been 807 kilowatts. You used 371. Okay, well, there we go, right? So where's but I guess the credits are stored somewhere else or something. I don't know.
Yeah, usually what happens is you'll have like an anniversary date, and on that date, usually like if we're doing the design, we'll sort of pick like April or May, because that's right after the heavy season, which would typically be like the winter months where you'd have a lot of heating loads on there. And then so you want to make sure you have the credit built up for the winter months.
Right.
So, when you have that, so even like that design process, when you pick your anniversary date can really make a difference on getting, some people say, well, I got a rebate back, but then I ended up having to pay all of them, the winter months.
Yeah, that's right.
So you have to kind of be careful with that. But yeah, it's within the year, Wayne, you'll see the big difference, and you'll see what the rebate would be actually that you will get for the credit. So
oh yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, there's no doubt in my mind, because even I know January and February we had a lot of snow this year. We had a lot of snow. The roof was full. We lost a lot of power. I think I only got 175 in January and 200 and some in February, right? But it is what it is. But then I look back and I had credits from prior, and I didn't start like on mine is March, I think it's March, end of March. But yeah, so I didn't, I was like, oh, this is a shitty time of year to install. Like I'm hooking this thing up in December, you know what I mean? But I still didn't pay. You know what I mean? But I think though, when I put my when they put my bidirectional meter on, I have a sneaky suspicion that my old meter was off, because it was an old meter, right? It was an old dial, and I think it was off because it was like I instantly went down. I didn't really make the changes, but then I did start making changes and seen it went down more. So could have just been a bad, right?
Oh yeah, it's just a mechanical device, right? So it can happen, especially over the years. But So just a couple of things here. When I'm going to get back to the off-grid piece here just for a second, because it just popped in my head. So what happened was, it was for Parks Canada up in Cornybrook, and they wanted to get potable water up there. I don't know if you've ever been there. It's between like Pleasant Bay and Shetty Camp up there.
Yeah.
It's beautiful spot, and it's literally on the cliff. And like, so one of my concerns, as we went in there and kind of put it in there was really, there's a building that's there, and I would say probably within 100 feet is the ocean. And and my concern was, it's really windy up there.
Oh, in Shetty Camp, they've got that. It's bad up there. Yeah, it really is.
So I said, like, how are we, how is this going to work? And, it was about 2 years ago that we had put that in. And, we put it in, and, they said, well, don't worry about it, because these, all of the modules and the rails, they're all hurricane rated.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So it's, it's one of those things. It's not so much the load, it's the shear, the wind shear. So when we, had all of them installed and we went up, and I waited until, I kind of calmed down and sort of it was moving back into the summer months. And I just said, I'm going to drive up and check them out because I'm kind of curious. And I went up there and they were perfect.
Nice.
They didn't move at all. And so it's pretty cool. And you see all these, people that are going around and, they're camping there now. And that, they have potable water, they have bathrooms,
Yeah,
and you
that's
see all
cool.
these kids and stuff. You say, you know what, that's pretty cool because they couldn't do that before without this solar.
Yeah, exactly, right. And they're a little more expensive. Well, it depends on how you're using the off grids. If you're backing it up with a generator or something, you're okay. But then you got to pay for the fuel. But you go battery. I mean, it might cost you more, but your investment, you're still going to get a return on your investment. There's no doubt, right?
Yeah,
it's just going
to
be different. Like because you're not hooking up to power. You're not worried about, you know what I mean? It's kind of the off grid element that makes, like, I'd like to be off grid. I don't think I could ever achieve it here because just my location is not great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love to be off grid because you throw the battery. You don't have to worry about anything. Watch your usage is all it is, right? Because in the winter, you're going to be like making sure, okay, you know what? I want to make sure that my battery's not going to run below 50% or, all that kind of stuff too. But so that one's so that's that's like on the mountain. Would it be on the mountain between?
It's right on the mountain.
Yeah, I was going to say, right. That's a windy area. Yeah,
but I know super windy.
Yeah, ours don't move. We don't hear a thing. They don't creak. They don't crack. They don't make any sound. You know what I mean? So and we get some good wind here, but not Shetty Camp levels, but still.
And like some of the concerns that people have, they say, well, like what it's going to do to my roof? Like you're screwing into my roof, or you're fastening, to the roof. How does it work? But really, most things that affect tiles that causes most damage is the UV.
Right.
And so, they're totally protected.
Yeah, exactly.
So a lot of times, when you see, the install from a solar and you look underneath the panels, the roof literally looks new.
Yeah,
compared to the rest of the roof, right? So
the whole thing. That's why the Elon Musk's the shingle ones are very Most of those are, but they're very unique to the systems. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're literally amazing.
Yeah,
so we've done training to do the installs for them. The only thing, honestly, with that is they are a little pricey, and mostly some of it is because they're manufactured in California, I believe, and so by the time we do the exchange, it gets a little pricey for us. But they literally work amazing. So
I heard their efficiency was a little touch lower, but not enough to make it like any different than other ones. Because you're filling your whole roof too. If you're going to do this, you're doing your whole roof. You're not going to, Well, I guess you wouldn't on the north side. They must have some kind of well, you must know that, like, if you're doing your roof with Tesla, do you do the whole roof?
No, you would just still do the the production side. But I mean, unless it was east west, and then people put it in because they do cost quite a bit more than regular. Whatever you have, whether metal or shingles or whatever. So, you would kind of put them in, but they blend perfectly. It's really difficult to kind of see that, aesthetically, they look amazing. Now, personally, for me, I don't find it looks bad. When people, when you look at the modules on the roof and the racking and stuff, I think it looks good.
Well, it's like a little sci-fi. My house is like a little old sci-fi house now. You know what I mean? I'm talking to my own son, and so it's. I mean, some people look and go, it's kind of gaudy, but whatever. You know what I mean? I'm living inside there. I'm not living on the roof, so I don't care what it looks like up there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. But I mean, I feel like, if you get the right installer and you put them up there, they look nice anyway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like it really doesn't make, kind of makes a difference. And it's like, you don't even really notice it, eventually as it comes in, you're just like, oh, that's my house. And when you see the power bill, you're like, well, it's worth it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Right. Yeah, I haven't paid a power bill since, let's see, my last power bill I think I paid was October.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though I wasn't hooked up because of all the, you commission the system and then you'd forget, I don't know, I forgot to turn it off a few times. I'm sure Nova Scotia Power's watching. I don't think they care. I don't really care. I mean, I didn't do anything, but I know I was like, oh shit, I'm getting power. I don't know why. Like the button's outside, Wayne. You can turn the button off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good.
Yeah, that's for sure, right? So how many have you done so far, have you figured?
Geez,
rough. I mean,
rough estimate, probably about 30 or 40, I guess. They vary in a lot of different sizes. Some of them just have like, they might be like a smaller trailer idea kind of thing. We've done some of those ones. and we did have quite a few booked for this spring, but sort of with the quarantine and the COVID, it kind of people are a little more cautious, financially than they would be, and so that's totally understandable. And I mean, even for us, we weren't sure how the installation process would happen in the inspection piece and stuff, so it kind of slowed down a little bit, but it's starting to pick back up again. So
yeah, people are getting more comfortable. I can see why. I mean, like I understand we still have to be cautious because I'm immunosuppressed, right? So I mean, I'm one of the people that has to be cautious. But
right.
I know right now it's pretty good. So I'm still taking precautions. I have masks in my car if I go somewhere. If I gotta go in a store or whatever, I have 3 sets that I rewash and stuff. I do all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, I never stay at home though. They were saying like stay the blazes home, but I have PTSD, right? So I was like, I got to get out my car. I got to go drive to the woods and I got to go look for find a deer, right? Or find a fox just to kind of, like instead of just sitting in the house. So anyway, I'm hoping that there is no second wave. I'm hoping that we're going to get out of this one because I don't think economically we need big help in Cape Breton economically. I think solar is going to be one of them. We go green energy. We have if we can get community solar going here and we can guys like yourself and some of the other installers around, right? And we can start building bigger bills that we sell power in Nova Scotia Power as a cooperative. I mean, we could get our power bills down in Cape Breton to 8 cents a kilowatt or whatever, 6 cents a kilowatt if we did big jobs, right?
Well, I mean, that's sort of one of the things. Why not us, Wayne? We have an area where people are, really concerned about the environment, and our island is beautiful, right. and we have the capability. So like, why not us? I'm hoping within the next few years, maybe we'll see more major projects and stuff. I'm starting, and why can't we lead, the country or the world even in renewable energy?
That thought. We've got some ideas. I know a few friends of mine have some ideas for some opening some not-for-profit societies that would be green energy and container terminal farming and stuff. Like, we're going to start that one because we had the idea. Well, I didn't really have the idea. A friend of mine brought it up to me, and then it kind of stuck in my head. It's like called circular regenerative economics, right? So it's like, why can't, instead of just installing on people's houses all the time, why can't we just do a big install somewhere in an open field, right? And sell it back to Nova Scotia Power, and in turn, do some deal with people here to like buy in for $10 a month, and we'll give you $50 off your power. You know what I mean? Or give you solar, like so much of your solar power. And then, because we figured if we can get a good majority of people that can afford it in Cape Breton Island, we've got about roughly 130,000 people. We could easily raise $10 million on $10 a month per person.
Right.
The people that can afford it, and give the people that can't afford it for free. Give them a share of the cooperative for free. You know what I mean? Then you get $10 million. We could do a lot of solar for $10 million. If I called you and Jim Clark's another guy I know it's doing it. You know what I mean? Apple Tree Solar, I think, is another one that's doing the other side of the island somewhat. You get all these guys in and say, we're going to install 10,000 panels. We're going to buy 10,000, so you're going to get cheaper per watt pricing. You know what I mean? Put them on the container terminals. You could garden all year round. Like, there's good ideas flowing on this island. I'm telling you, there's about to be some action around here. I think some really good action by just community members, right?
Yeah, so, I think so too. I really firmly believe that we're going to see a difference, and I think not only are we going to see a difference, but I think we're going to be the difference.
Yeah, I agree. I think we can do it because we're small enough. People don't like. They talk about New Zealand. New Zealand's doing really well. Their prime minister's fantastic. The younger lady, I can't remember her name right now. She's doing fantastic. But you have to remember, New Zealand's small. Like, it's not the size of Canada and landmass or population. But Cape Breton is 128,000 people. We could take our farming back. We need farming. Like, we got 4 to 7 days worth of food here. If the Causeway, for some reason, the supply chain shut down, you're going to see people fighting in the grocery stores over food, right? It's sad, but they did over toilet paper, right? So
exactly.
Thing, right? Like, one of the projects we wanted to start with, I'm hoping we can get some stuff together soon, but COVID, right? It's making everything tough too, is we're going to try to get a container terminal, get some solar on it, get some LED lights in it, insulate it, and grow in it all year round. See if it works.
Yeah,
right?
That's a wonderful idea.
Yeah, like, just do a food bank or a community garden style instead of, like, nobody wants to do it for profit. Like, maybe later on down the road, if things get better and we do get a good island and stuff get going, people can make some money, right?
Right.
But for us, it's community based, right?
Well, I mean, most of the, the choices that we make and the reasons why we got in it is, we want to make a better community. When we're here, our kids are here. We want them to grow up and we want to be known for something, other than, unemployment rates.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And it's one thing to say, we have a beautiful island, which we do for sure. But I think like we can really be the difference. And I think, as the, the younger generation comes up, and we can get them more involved. And it's like, some of the training and some of the education pieces that we had to get for renewable energy, like when I was saying, like Eric and I had gone and taken a bunch of courses, but it's that whole educational piece. That's why we like to go to the community conversations about it and talk and get more people involved. And
well, that's again podcast wise. I like, I just started. I didn't even plan on doing this. I was offered before, and I was like, oh, I don't know. I'm gonna have to put stuff together and everything. You know what I mean? You just kind of shrug it off. I'm like, I'll be on a podcast. I never cared, right? But then once I started doing them, I'm like, what a great way to get to people, like get into people's houses, right? And say like, come and see my solar. Just ask me. I'll show you my solar. Come on, I'll take you on the step. We'll look. I'll show you the app. Come and see it. I don't care, right? It's good stuff.
Yeah. So I mean that's one of the coolest things.
Look, we got some graphics.
Oh, look at this.
Look at this. Good job, admin. Ghost admin. That's our ghost admin, Rebecca. What do we got going on here now? Oh, this is great. I love this stuff, eh? Oh, there we go. There's heat pump cleaning and maintenance. Oh, that's your logo.
Yep, that's the logo.
Oh, dude.
So yeah, we had
electrical contract. There you go.
Well, we try to get everything as basically for all the stages of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So with us, like we didn't want to just be solar installers. We wanted to be able to contribute to the whole concept. Yeah. So, and here, we kind of showing, a basic, net metering sort of thing with some battery storage and different things on here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's really neat. And, I'm proud of what we've been doing. We've been doing a lot of educational pieces, and we have a really great crew, and they're all committed, to helping and getting involved in the community. And there's some really great community members who have had some great conversations about renewables and solar So I think, eventually,
we're getting some Wayne commenting and stuff too there. Some Mark Lamarche.
Yes. Yeah. And, Mark is a great guy. And he,
Mark did?
Yes. Yeah. He's, I've had some conversations about renewables with Mark. There's a lot of people who are really interested in this, and I think for the first time we're seeing a movement where we haven't seen before. You're
right. I mean, not just in solar too, just in this COVID, this woke a lot of people up to say like, oh crap, to the government telling you they got no money, and then they just spend almost $1 trillion, and you're like, don't tell me you got no money for renewables if you can spend $1 trillion on CERB and other programs, right? So yeah, for sure. But that's a great graphic, eh? With the your different your grid tie, and that's for sure. It's a great graphic. What is the rebate on a panel system? That would be 60 cents per watt. Is that correct?
60 cents per watt, yeah.
So if you like, mine was mine was at $1 per watt. For a 5.55 kilowatt, I got $5,500.
Yeah,
so 60%.
I mean, that's a really good deal, really.
Yeah, right. Like my system. I tell people I paid $14,000, a little under $14,000, but that's after rebates. It was $18,590, and then your taxes, and then they gave me a credit off it. They gave me the 2,000 credit for just the delay, and then I got the $5,500 worth of rebate. So I mean, it took it way down. And to be honest, I think I said this on my last podcast. Because the solar loan that they gave me was at 1.99%, I think it was 2.99. It's very low anyway. The HELOC. I took the money that I got back from my rebates and paid off all my higher interest debt. Right? Because the solar system is so cheap to pay for. Like there's not much interest on it. I paid off we had a couple of loans and stuff. We're like, let's just pay that off, because then we're not gonna, we get better buyback or payback from paying off the higher interest ones. So. Yeah, so like there's all kinds of ways where you got to watch the little. I'm good at that stuff, right? Finding the little loopholes and go like, like I can make more money by putting that $5,500 on my credit card than I can by paying it on the solar loan at 1.99. Like,
yeah, exactly, right. Sure. It's sort of in a way, Wayne. It's sort of a bit of passive income,
right? It is. Yeah, for sure. Like I said, like I think you can. I remember seeing in the contract, I think you can have it paid directly to the installer if the installer allows that.
With the rebate, yes.
Yeah. So instead, if you want to touch it and you wanted to put it right on your bill, you could just take it off the top if you wanted to. So that's another good thing, right? Because some people.
Yeah, sometimes like you do that for people, if they originally say, well, I'd like to, maybe the amount that I borrow, I would like that to be less, and so we'll minus the rebate and sign it over, and we're pretty flexible when it comes to the financial portions and the payments and stuff.
Yeah.
We'll work with anybody to try to go in there. Our whole goal is to make sure that people get a system that works for them. Like that's the big thing, right? And I've said it a few times, but it literally is. It's so custom. It's unique layout and design factor that we see. So yeah, it's
I was going to say too, like it's sun worship. It's what it is, because I take that up every day. I'll check it. Like if I get up in the morning and it's sunshiny, I get up around 7:38 now. I get up and I check and I'm like, holy God, I already got like 6 kilowatts, right? I didn't even get out of bed yet, and I got 6 kilowatts, right? And I'll usually once at lunch and once in the evening when it's like, the sun's pretty much going down now, so I'll check it before I go to bed and be like, oh look, I got a 44 kilowatt day or something, right? Yeah. That's right. I like the graphic portion of this. I don't think I've been involved in the graphic because we just have chats usually, right? So
yes, yeah. We've been sort of doing it for a long time and getting involved, and it's the whole thing, it's the whole concept, and like we say about the educational piece, and it's just about that. And like if anybody wants to have a conversation, that's why I was kind of so excited, and when Eric had mentioned. Wayne wants to talk about solar, and I'm like, oh, great,
because I knew you guys were big into the solar, not just like you're right into the whole, because when Eric was here, he was talking about that, like, why don't you get some heat pumps and stuff? And I'm like, once I get the money, I probably will, right? It's like, we have a cut up house, so it's a little more difficult. Our rooms are small because it's a 1939 build, right? But there's ways around that. I know they've got them that they install in the ceilings now.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're less efficient. I think I heard from someone, but they'd work better here probably because with the cut up. I don't know that you could, but somebody now, my buddy's an electrician, Dwayne Rowland, and he was in here one day doing something. He said, no, you could put 2 heat pumps in here, 2 inside units. He said, and run this whole house. And I'm like, I don't know how you do it, but I guess people do, right?
Oh yeah. They work. It's just, the heat will always go to the cold. So it's just how it goes. Right. And, it'll migrate as long as you leave it on. Some of the biggest misconceptions, with people with the units are, they turn them off at night and whatever, and it takes a long time for it to heat up and whatever. But I mean, if you're looking for, something, with the solar and how am I going to heat? Because usually that's the biggest source. Then that's a great option, and there's a lot of
pretty efficient. Some of them, some of them getting 200% efficiency or something on some of those.
Yeah, well, actually, some of them are even higher. It's like the individual one would be 400% efficient, and if you had a multi, it would be 200% efficient. When they talk about the efficiency, it's like if you had electric heat. Electric heat is 100% efficient. It's a purely resistive load. So for every dollar you spend, you get $1 worth of heat.
Right.
And with the heat pumps, they're up to, for every dollar you spend, you get $4 worth of heat.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? That is a crazy amount of money. That's like 4 times your return on investment.
Oh yeah, big time. They work amazing, literally.
Well, I know it's probably going to throw you in the spot. I know we got to get soon because we're almost into the hour. But what would a rough system cost? Like if you're talking like a 2-unit indoor, two indoor units, 1 outdoor unit.
Well, look, one of the things, as you go through there with the cost, there's a lot of different variables that go into it.
Labor is big, right? Because it depends on what you got a lot, where's it going? Where do you got to run all your
and like, do you have the proper electrical requirements?
Oh, yeah, right.
And so there's a whole bunch of different factors, that go in, and there's, different units and stuff, and people say, about them. But I always say, the different manufacturers of the units are much like the same as manufacturers for trucks. Some people are Dodge people, some people are Fords or Chevys or whatever.
Right.
But for the most part, they all work really well. A lot of it I find is the install components of it. It goes sort of hand in hand when you're talking about energy consumption and with the solar and all the rest of
Oh
those.
yeah, for solar, I could get like that. There's no doubt here. Like, I wouldn't install electric heat because, like you said, you're getting dollar for dollar. But if I could afford to get heat pumps put in, and I think there's rebates on heat pumps too, I believe. Yeah, they do offer them for people.
Yeah, efficiency has rebates that goes through there, and sometimes the manufacturers will have different rebates. And
I saw that too. I saw a couple of Daikin ones that were giving rebates. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so much. I mean, that the people don't realize that stuff. Solar can give you so much other opportunity. You want to get, like, I want to get off oil. I don't want oil. I don't want to run my house by oil. So with a heat pump, I'd have to keep the oil, I think. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, it's like a secondary. You need a primary source of heat. So you
wouldn't have to use it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, heat pumps running and not snow buried or whatever. You're still pretty good, and they're good for.
Yeah, I mean,
minus 40.
Well, you'll be at 100% at minus 20. But the biggest thing is, when you talk about the temperatures here, is everyone thinks that we get below minus 20, but the average winter in Sydney is minus 9.
Yeah, because they think about wind chill, but that's heat pumps.
We don't talk about the wind chill because wind chill doesn't affect the unit.
Right, exactly.
So even though we're at, like, say, minus 9 or minus 10, and people say, well, that can't be right. But when you check it out statistically, that's what the numbers are.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's and like I say, they work great, and as it's like a different phase, a different portion of let's talk about energy consumption and sort of move towards that whole, maybe people will get into the whole net zero. That's sort of what we can really sort of work towards. And if every single home was net zero and work towards that renewable energy, the savings that we would get from the emissions would be enormous.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Like I said, again, 400%. If you get for every dollar you put in, you get $4 back, right? So you get 4 times the energy. Really, like you could set it up so you wouldn't have to. The system wouldn't use like near 25%, I guess, if it was 400%, right? 25% your bill. So I think on $800, if I'm overproducing by, there's my house, $800 rebate back next year from Nova Scotia Power. I could almost run a heat pump on that. Almost, not quite. But,
but they have financing through Nova Scotia Power as well. So, if you looked at the financing with the monthly payment and the savings that you had, you basically would end up with a 3-1 win.
Yeah, I'm thinking, you got me. I might be calling you tomorrow. I'd have talked to the wife first. I'm going to get in trouble.
No
more stuff. Well, it was great. I mean, it's good. That was a great discussion. I think. I hope everybody liked it because, I love talking to people about solar anyway. It's one of those things that just pumps me right up now because I'm one of those solar guys, right?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. I mean, basically, when you think about it, you're sort of like a pioneer, as it comes in with the solar.
Over in Howie Center, and I went over to pick up some masks that a friend had made for me. And I seen their system. They got big greenhouses on the back. There's panels everywhere. Man, that guy's got a big system. I don't know what he was. I think he was pre-rebate because it's a big system. Like
for sure.
15, 20 kilowatts.
One of the cool things, we were doing the job just down the road from you, and there were some kids, and they were all pointing and talking and asking about the solar, and I sort of just slowed down and had a conversation with them, and they were asking how it worked, and at that time I was thinking, this is what we need.
Oh yeah, right.
So, they're going to grow up, and that's the norm. This is what we should do, and this is what it looks like. And like for me, I know the first time that we put it on, I still kind of get like that today. To be honest, I'm like, I can't believe we literally made and generated power. It's amazing, right? So, I think the whole thing, and it's I was glad that we got to help you out a bit and make sure that your system is working properly, and and that whole thing, and that really for the area, when you look at it, like I say, you're a pioneer, but really just a leader in the renewable energy, and I'm glad that that you took the chance and had the investment, and it is a bit of a risk, but it's well worth it.
Sure. We were lucky we managed to get credit, so that was because that's the sad part is a lot of people can't get credit to be able to do it and can't afford it. So that's cooperative would be great for people that can't, and we can say, oh, you know what, well, if you're low income and you have your house, you're a senior and you've already paid your dues to society. Well, let's go in and install a system on your house, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? Even if we charge, you've had a cooperative that charge 6 or 7 cents a kilowatt, they're still getting it for half price, right?
Well, yeah, I think especially when you think about the whole portion with like affordable housing and stuff, right?
Yeah,
what would make housing more affordable than not having to pay for power consumption?
And your heat too. I mean, because the heat pumps aren't that expensive. Especially if you're doing new builds for low income housing and stuff, they're not that expensive to put in. So,
no.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, it was great talking to you. I guess we're gonna have to cut her out though. We're talking longest podcast I think we've had yet.
yeah, we probably would talk all night, Wayne. About it. But yeah, and if you want to have another discussion later on about just you and I about that initiative that you were talking about, I think we would definitely love it. I know Eric would like to. We'll get in and conversation. And
it was somebody else had discussed it with me, and I was like, I'm a disabled guy and I'm permanently disabled, but they're like, but you still have a brain, right? And you can still volunteer. And I'm like, well, yeah, I can. I'm allowed to volunteer. I can sit in a chair and do a podcast, right? I mean, it's nothing.
Yeah.
I get to drink my coffee and I'm all good. My herbal teas now. I cut the coffee out. Herbal teas. So yeah, for sure.
Well, I think we'll get enough people together that we'll see a difference.
I agree.
What my goal is. So hopefully, people who are watching, maybe other people want to get involved with it, and maybe this is the first step that we need to take, to be the difference.
Yeah, we just got to form the society, and once you form the society, you can have as many members of the society as you want. You know what I mean? And then you say, okay, if you can, if you're low income, don't worry about it. You got to share. If you're not low income, it's $10 a month, and we'll build container farms and solar panels for people to hook into it. You know what I mean? It's not put them on people's houses for that matter. It doesn't matter as long as they're generating for the cooperative. It's the same thing, right?
Right.
Yeah, pretty cool. Oh, we'll be chatting up again for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll talk to you after this, I think. Well, there's one lady that was I referred through Eric there. I don't know if she ever got in touch with you. She was on Solar Nova Scotia discussions, and I was on there talking, and I was like, oh, these guys saved my install, and they're like, oh, who were they? And I gave them your contact number, right? Because I mean, I knew the job it was great. So, yeah.
Yeah, sure. She phoned me and we had a great conversation.
Yeah, because I think she was ready anyway. She was ready to go anyway. So
yeah,
that's pretty cool. Yeah, all right then. We're gonna have to cut off, I guess. And so yeah, we'll chat again for sure. Maybe we can if I can find somebody to do some film work, maybe sometime you're doing a solar install or something, we'll get some people to record it and we'll do a little training video or something.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, we'd love to do that.
It wouldn't have to be a live podcast. I mean, you could just do a video and have her done, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, it was great talking to you, Wade.
Yes. Thanks for having me on, Wayne.
All right, we'll chat later.
Okay. Have a great day.
You too.
Okay. Bye.
All right. Bye. Well, there we go. That was a great conversation again. I never met Wade before. I dealt with his team. Eric was the guy that was here most of the time. But I've talked to Wade a few times. He's into the green energy for sure. I could talk all night. We could talk all night about the green energy projects because I am a sun worshiper 2020. Tool sun worship 2020. But it was just affordable and right. It just fit. You know what I mean? So everything kind of, even though there was rocky roads, it took me almost 2 years to get 18 months to get my install done because of some bumps along the way. But I'm still quite excited about it. But anyway, yeah, that's episode 3 of the Wayne O'Toole Show. I guess we'll see you again next Thursday. We're going to have on Scott Sharplin from Extinction Rebellion. All right, so I'll see you guys later, and you guys all have a good night.